Most new service businesses don't fail from a lack of effort. They fail from a lack of a clear strategy. You're not lazy, you're not unmotivated. You're just missing the one system that lets you see everything clearly. And without that, it's like stacking stones without a blueprint. I recently read a story that felt like a good metaphor for 90% of service businesses today. The story went like this: a pharaoh in ancient Egypt summoned his two sons and gave them each a task. He said, "You will both build a pyramid. You must do it." That's my pharaoh voice. "You must do it on your own. When your pyramid is complete, I will make you each a king and grant you riches beyond measure." The first son, strong and determined, got to work immediately. He decided to just do it all by hand. So he started by dragging massive stones, stacking them one at a time. And day after day, he toiled. His hands bled, his body ached. But eventually, he was able to finish the foundation of his pyramid. And he looked over at his brother's plot and saw it was empty. And that made him feel a surge of confidence that he was so far ahead, but also confused as to why his brother hadn't started yet. But he toiled on. And when his work got harder and he got tired and he wasn't able to lift the blocks up to the stones up to the next level, he didn't stop to plan or rethink his strategy. He just trained to get stronger and so that he would be able to lift up the stones. He believed that sheer effort was the key to success, and that if he worked hard enough for long enough, he would eventually succeed. Now, the second son took a different approach. He took his time, he considered his options, he thought about the best approach to laying these stones. He gathered some tools, and he started drawing a blueprint. And on the blueprint, he created a system of ramps and pulleys, and then he built this machine. So for a while he was working on that, it seemed like he was doing nothing. He wasn't making any visible progress. It looked like he was wasting his time. And so that's why his brother looked over to his plot and saw that no stones were being laid. But when he eventually began building, at which time his brother was nearly complete with the second level of his pyramid, each stone was placed with ease. He wasn't having to toil away under the hot sun and try to get stronger. All he had to do was twist a crank on his pulling machine. It would lift up the stones for him. Eventually, he got better at operating the machine, and his progress accelerated. His work became repeatable, and he managed to finish his pyramid in just 7 years. He was awarded his kingship and riches and lived a long, prosperous life. The other son refused to see his mistakes, toiled for decades, and ultimately never finished. So why am I telling you this? Because running a service business is not a whole lot different. Most owners feel like the first son, grinding, hustling, pouring effort into something that they desperately want to work, and seeing ever shrinking returns. I grew up in a family business filled with small business owners. My father was a home contractor, and he did well. He cared about his customers and the quality of work that he did, and as a result, he was the recipient of great reviews and referrals. Most of his new clients came from referrals. However, he eventually reached a point where he struggled to grow. He was involved in way too many aspects of the business, and it was holding him back. He joined a group that worked as like a peer group with a whole group of advisors, and they helped him to see this. And he eventually learned from that how to put systems in place which allowed him to easily cross-train his employees. Then he was able to steadily find ways to remove himself from each aspect of his business. And then what that did was enable him to focus on the activities where he could add the most value. So not only did he work less because he was removed from all these different aspects of his business, but his talents were being poured into the most impactful parts of his business. So for him, that was solving the big client issues that they were facing, assisting with sales of larger jobs, and generally just helping to support his employees so that they could work their best. After all this, and he got these systems in place and he started working in this way, his business flourished, and eventually he was able to comfortably exit when the time was right for him. This is the power of a system. And your accounting system is like the foundation of that great pyramid. Get that part right, and the rest of your systems are much easier to put into place. Without a system, without visibility into your money, your margins, your capacity, it's just brute force. You burn out or you hit a wall and you don't know why. This is where your accounting system comes in. Not the kind you hand off to your tax guy once a year. I mean a working month-to-month financial process. This helps you price your services correctly, know when you can afford to hire, understand where your money is going, and make decisions from data, not panic. So here's the truth no one tells you. Most service businesses are built like that first pyramid, and 90% of them will fail in the first year. They're held together with effort, instinct, and metaphorical duct tape. And while that might work for a while, it eventually leads to burnout, broken systems, and confusion when the money just doesn't make sense. Why? Because most service business owners fall into one or three, or all three, of three dangerous financial traps. And they don't even realize it until it's too late. The first one, false profit. You look at your bank account and you feel like you're doing well. You know, there's cash in your account and it's going up month to month. But then you realize you're not tracking your true costs, your time, or your tax liability. You're profitable on paper until a big expense hits and tax season shows up and you realize you've been operating in the red. The second trap, reactive decisions. Without a clear monthly financial process, you're guessing. Can I afford to hire? Can I run that ad campaign? Do I need to raise my prices? So you either overspend out of optimism or underinvest out of fear. And the last one, the invisible ceiling. This one's sneaky. You grow, but then you hit a wall. You max out your time, your team gets stretched thin, and you can't scale because you don't know what's working and what isn't. Without the numbers to guide you, growth becomes chaos. And this is what my father fell into before he worked it out. He was stretched too thin. He came to realize that it was himself that was holding the company back. You know, not that he had maxed out his marketplace or something like that. So the good news, these traps aren't hard to escape from. Once you have a simple system that helps you see your numbers clearly and consistently, it all becomes much more clear. And trust me, it's not like building a pyramid. It's not going to take 7 years. This is where I come in. I've been a CPA for 13 years and helped dozens of businesses straighten out their accounting systems. Follow me for tutorials on how to get your system in place. You can start today by also subscribing to my newsletter at ledgerready.work. I developed a budgeting and financial forecasting tool that I offer for free to all my subscribers. So check it out and get started on the right path. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.